It's Nintendo 64!
64?
No, I mean, like, horribly off topic, number 64.
Oh, yes. Well, we I think we might
I had I should have backed off the mic and yelled it, but I was just like, did like that pretend yell that you do.
Yell. Yeah, we do it sometimes. I mean, we did it that one time, or Strong Bad did that one time for us.
I think I did a real yell for that one.
Yeah, maybe you did. I can't remember. Yes, no, this is horribly off topic. Number 64. I'm Chris and he's Steve. And
I remember getting the Nintendo 64 when it came out.
I was going to ask you a question about it because I didn't have. This would be a good question for
Your
my
brother
brother.
did though.
I know he had that, but this would be a good question for him because we definitely as a family, and I'm sorry if you've heard this before, folks. As a family, we had the NES.
Yes.
We got it much later than almost everyone else.
I think the year I think I got it the exact same year. I think it was like 89 maybe.
It was
88 or 89.
Yeah,
like
we
that.
got it when it came with ours came with the gun. And the power pad. So we got the triple cartridge that had Mario, Duck Hunt, and whatever.
World Class Track Meet.
Okay, there you go. So that was definitely a family system. And then there was a Super Nintendo in the house. I don't know if that was more John's or if that was a family system. And then my question for you was there something between SNES and Nintendo 64?
No.
Okay.
As far as or systems that Nintendo put out?
Yeah, here in the States.
They put out the Virtual Boy.
Okay. And the Game Boy, we had a Game Boy, and I feel like that was, it's a perfect example. And so when later on, when iOS devices came out and people were like, why don't iOS devices have user accounts in the same way that like a Mac has a user account? I was like, well, I'll tell you why. Me and my brother shared a Game Boy, and you're not supposed to share something that size. Like an iPad, an iPhone, whatever, and going way back, an original Game Boy. I think those are meant to be, belong to one person. And I think eventually it just became more John's than mine. But we did, I know we had it for like at least one summer vacation, and I was probably a dick about using it and playing Tetris poorly too much.
I remember driving down to North Carolina, not for Yucko's wedding, but for Will's wedding. Mm-hmm. He's the marriage didn't last, but
oh no.
Oh well, it happens.
Yeah,
we all live life.
Yeah,
I think it was amicable. Mm-hmm. I was going down. We were going down there. And your brother and other John, I don't know. If he wants to
we'll say other John.
Another John.
Another John
and your brother were with us. And I basically threw it was Game Boy Advance at the time, so it was backlit, so you could actually see.
Okay, yeah.
But I threw my Game Boy Advance at them, and I said, here's Dragon Warrior, the first one. Beat it. And it was their sole goal on the way down to do that, and until they ran out of battery. And it's unfortunate I didn't have a charger or like a car charger or anything for it, because they almost did.
Dragon Warrior, John was way better at Dragon Warrior. He was better at every video game than me, but he did Dragon Warrior. I stunk at Dragon Warrior. Did
you not like level build enough? Is that what your issue was?
I don't remember. I just remember being bad at it.
Because like role-playing games, like there's not really like a good or bad. There's not like a definite skill set to it. I mean, there's just knowing where to go, and just that's basically the being good at an RPG.
And that might have just been it. I mean, I was bad at Zelda too, which is not an RPG, but there's a lot of knowing where to go.
But the Zelda is more action oriented, so like you actually have to use skill of pushing buttons. But like the thing is, in Dragon Warrior, you get into an encounter, you hit the button a bunch and attack, and then you hit the button a bunch.
The one that I was better at, although probably still not good, and I'm sure we've talked about this before too, was Wizardry. Wizardry was the one that was a role playing game that I liked.
You liked it, but I would amend my statement about because the RPGs. I mean, like it requires you to know what you're doing as far as like, if you get into a battle in the original Dragon Warrior, because the original Dragon Warrior is the basis for most of modern, at least Japanese RPGs. I mean, they've changed it bits from there. Yeah. But like that was basically how most games were. Like Final Fantasy was slightly different, but it was a very similar sort of interface. But the thing is, like, if you just have to have the knowledge that, like, if you have 2 health left, you should heal yourself and not attack.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you miss and blah 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 blah, sometimes you roll the die. But I've watched people speedrun RPGs, and it's pretty crazy because like
that seems like it would be an interesting thing to watch a speedrun on.
But the thing is, like, it's like if you want to do that, you're gonna spend an afternoon doing it, watching that,
right?
Because like as far as like the speedrun marathons that they have, like they usually do it for charities or whatever, like twice a year. And one of the ones I was watching, like the Final Fantasy 6, which is 3 technically. Final Fantasy 3 was what they called it in the United States originally, because here's the angry video game nerd did what I'm about to say a lot better than what I'm about to do.
Sure.
So the original Final Fantasy was in fact Final Fantasy, the first one, which in itself doesn't make any damn sense. This is the Final Fantasy.
The Final Fantasy.
Shouldn't there not be any more?
Right.
But then there was Final Fantasy 2, which was for the regular Nintendo, which did not come out here.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 3 for the regular Nintendo did not come out here.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 4 for the Super Nintendo was one of the very early games that came out for that system.
Okay.
And that did come out here.
And was it called the same thing?
No, it was called Final Fantasy 2.
Okay.
So Final Fantasy 2 is Final Fantasy 4.
Got it.
Are you clear?
Are
you clear at this point?
I'm
all right,
following
so
you.
Final Fantasy 5 did not come out here.
Okay.
But then Final Fantasy 6 came out here as Final Fantasy 3. But then when Final Fantasy 7 came out for the PlayStation, they decided to stop renumbering it. So they called it Final Fantasy 7. And then I think the quote from the angry video game nerd is, what happened to 4, 5, and 6? But what you should have been saying, what happened to 2, 3, and 5?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How the hell did we get so horribly off topic?
So the other question I had about was it a question about N60? N64 was the first one.
Oh, yeah, we never actually talked about the N64.
Well, it's not. I guess the only one that I ever really missed was the GameCube, because I felt like there was a big gap, but I did play the original NES and I did play SNES. I didn't play much of the N64 until after college, when I think John had his in this room that we're recording in right now, and maybe even after
you played that wrestling game, right?
I did. Maybe even after he moved to California, it was still so very post college. But I think when I was playing Nintendo 64, everyone else was GameCube or beyond.
The thing is, like, the GameCube actually had some really good titles, but it was actually, I think, Nintendo's biggest modern failure as far as I'm even more so than the Wii U, I think.
Yeah,
because I don't know, it just, there was some really great games for it. Like the Super Smash Brothers Melee was one of the better games of that series. And I think, in my opinion, the best of the Smash Brothers series.
Yeah.
And then there was Mario Kart Double Dash. It's not necessarily my favorite Mario Kart game. I think Dan really likes that one. But yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun playing it when it first came out.
They definitely made a point to make the original Wii backwards compatible with it, because I remember you could put the discs in, and there was you could flip I don't know if you had to flip the side down or whatever to plug your.
Yeah, you could put the GameCube controllers in.
Yeah,
you know what's funny? I remember coming here when I first got the N64, and I think we plugged it in the living room.
Yeah.
And your cousin Bill was here.
Oh gosh.
And we were doing that thing when the launch title was Mario 64.
Yeah.
And this thing, when it loaded, was this 3D picture of Mario, and you could pull on his face and like stretch it in all sorts of weird ways.
Oh no!
And
I don't like where this is going.
No, it wasn't obscene, which I was surprised. Right. Very surprised coming from your cousin. He just started saying, "Poke him in the eye."
Just poke him in the eye.
Yeah, poke him in the eye.
There was another John that gave me my first exposure to, because it was Mario 64. Was that like a third person? Third person,
3D action game. It was pretty revolutionary for that type of game.
Time. So I think another friend, John, was the first person. I think maybe in between semesters or years at college, I was home for the summer and I went to his house and he had that, and that was but of course at that point I was more interested in getting a computer of my own, and I started playing Quake again, poorly, but
did you like Quake a lot because Trent Reznor did all the soundtrack?
I was a sucker for it. Yeah. I mean, that was my primary interest for a while. In fact, I'm surprised that I don't have a copy of the Quake soundtrack in my iTunes library, and
maybe you need to get on that.
It's just occurred to me that that's something that is a strange hole in my catalog.
Now, I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true or not, but bringing it back to Nintendo for a second.
Yeah.
They may be releasing Wild Gunman for the Wii U Virtual Console in celebration of something else.
Oh, of something else. What might that something else be, Steve?
It's like a baby's toy.
Is it Elijah Wood that gets to say that line, or is it the other kid?
I think it's the other kid.
I think it's the other kid. Elijah Wood he has a great incredulous look. I
don't think he has too many lines. I think he might have like one, if not none.
There's the other kid. That's who they.
The other kid is the one they were like.
That kid's going to be the superstar. Don't give this Wood kid any lines.
Yeah,
he's nothing.
He's not going to end up in a television show with a guy dressed up in a dog costume.
Is that what the other kid did?
No, that's what Elijah Wood did.
Wait, what television show with a guy and a dog?
Wilfred. It was on FX.
Oh, I never saw it. No. I mean, the things I know Elijah Wood for are the Lord of the Rings and
Hobbitses.
The Hobbitses, and he has a really disturbing role in one of the Sin City movies. I can't remember if it's the first or the second.
I think it's the first one because I didn't see the second one.
Yeah, second one's
because
not that great, but
yeah, but I remember him being in the first one.
Yeah,
so
okay. Yeah.
So yes, first one.
But so Back to the Future. Elijah Wood with
Back to the Future 2, mind you.
Part 2. Not just 2, Part 2.
Part 2, yes.
Part 2.
I am actually going to see it in the theaters this coming Wednesday.
On Wednesday, which is the 21st
of
October.
What they're doing is they're showing all three.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to see all three. I'm just going to see number 2 because that's the one.
That's the relevant one.
Once like time passes through and back to 1885. Mm-hmm. Then I'll go and watch Back to the Future 3.
Okay.
That's when time has looped back on itself.
I mean, you intimated that Back to the Future 3 is not your favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
I mean, I'll watch it if it's on so I can see the end where that kid points at his penis, but...
Wait, what?
That kid just... Like, there's something off with that actor, and I don't know if it was, like, a member of, like... the Cruise kid that maybe they were like, oh, let's dress him up like a little 18-something or other little kid, and he'll look adorable. And he just had this little, like this... I'm trying to not be offensive here. I don't know why for the first time I'm trying not to be offensive.
Well, I mean, you can some people might, I don't know how much of it will come through on the audio, but my kids are, or at least one of my kids is just beyond the wall.
Yeah, it's not like I'm shouting, though.
No, yeah. But,
but like... he looked a little slow. Is that PC to say a kid looks slow?
No, it is not. But I think we're just.
What am I supposed to say?
Developmentally challenged.
He looked a little
developmentally delayed. Might even
maybe he was developmentally delayed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he maybe should have talked to his parents and figured out before the take that he needed to take a piss.
See, I don't think I've ever noticed that. Now I have to go watch it again just to see that.
Every I think 30 or so episodes, I think I bring that up. But back to number 2.
Back to number 2. So you're going to see it on Wednesday, which is of course the day that Marty is supposed to arrive in Hillvale. No, Hill Valley. Hill Valley. He doesn't go to. They go to Hilldale later.
Hilldale is where they live in Back to the Future 2.
Right.
Which apparently he was all excited about, when he heard that they were living there.
Right.
But then
it turned out.
I think the cops only tranks, buzzos, and weirdos. I forget what some weird future slang that they came up with that said that those kind of people live there.
Yeah. I mean, we all remember that movie for that section, especially now because it's 2015 and none of it is coming true. But there's also, there's alternate 1985, which is a fun part of that whole movie. I think I like the alternate reality almost as much as I like the 2015.
The future stuff is cool, and it's taking up the amount of movie it should take up.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, if they just stayed in the future the entire time, that would be a fun movie. So like the alternate 1985 was fun, and then going back to people were like, oh, he's going back to 1955, but it was really cool how they kind of just they had the scenes that were similar, and then
that you would see him running through
doing
sometimes twice, and I think that whole that's why I like that movie. It's playing with all of the things that you would hope a Back to the Future movie would play with, and I think the reason the third one isn't as good is that it's not as playful anymore. It's trying to round out a fun science fiction story with a kind of romance for the doc and I don't know what. I mean, I think it's an all right movie. I don't know if it's a great finish to that franchise.
Well, the thing is, the first one is more about George as far as George's character, because Marty is just a player trying to facilitate.
He's the point of view character, but he's not the protagonist.
Yeah, the protagonist is George McFly, and that's probably why Crispin Glover was a little bit ornery about not wanting to be in the second one or whatever, and he isn't. They have a guy that looks like him in the second one.
I mean, he's in it for a split second of archive footage at the beginning where they show him
him and Lorraine waving.
Right,
but yeah, it's I don't know, but the second one is basically Marty's story. It's they develop for some other reason he doesn't like being called chicken.
Yeah,
nonsense.
Weird. And then it just continues to play.
What's wrong, McFly? Chicken? Listen, Needles.
No one calls me chicken.
What if the Jits is monitoring this call?
Here's my card. Scan it.
Read my fax. Oh, that's offensive.
It's offensive that I try to do an impression of somebody. I was not trying to do an Asian American. I was just trying to do the read my facts. Meanwhile, you're over here talking
being
about
offended.
Slow people.
I said slow.
You said slow.
I could have said a lot worse. What do they call them? Slow?
Read my facts. It's such a great, the fact that we do still have faxes, but who?
No one used, they made some tragic errors. I mean, they didn't realize that phones would be the thing.
Yeah.
That everybody that's how technology developed. It was through a phone.
Right. Well, I mean to be fair, they got video calling, but video calling is still kind of niche. I mean, you can FaceTime or Google Video, whatever the equivalent is over on Android, but so you've got that, the big video conferencing versus just a voice call, but And VR, like the VR headset that Marty Jr. is using, that's not that far.
I think
removed.
Sony's trying to do something with video games that has like that. But I'm like, look what Nintendo did with I can bring it back up, the Virtual Boy. That thing was a hunk of crap. And it was all red. I don't know why they made that palette choice. I mean, it was fine for the machine to be like red in its exterior.
Yeah.
But why was it red when you looked into the thing? Why would they could have easily made it some other color, I'd imagine. I don't know. Maybe it was just like, we tested red. Red works really well.
Red really works. The market likes the red. They do. I don't know what that was.
That was offensive.
That was offensive. That was offensive to marketing dweebs.
And to ears.
And to ears. Almost everything I say is offensive to someone's ears. The worst part of its predictions, and really, they did their best, but the Cubbies.
We did talk about. Didn't we talk about this a little bit last week?
We did talk about it a little bit last week, but things have changed in the interim.
Well, they won the NLDS.
They did,
but now they're 2 games behind the Mets in the NLCS.
Yes, and I just did they not understand that the hopes and dreams of millions of Back to the Future fans
and Cubs fans
Who
cares about those jokers?
The hell with those long-suffering jokers. Yeah, I mean, so I can't. I don't know if you know. I mean, is the DS a 2-3-2 series?
It's as far as where they play them.
Where they play them,
I'd imagine. Well, it would be the best of 7.
Yeah, or is it like 2-2-1-1 back and forth?
I think it's 2-3-2.
I think you're right.
I think that's how they did the World Series, which is why when we played, because I don't think in 2013 I don't think we had the advantage.
Yeah,
but in 2004 and 2007, I think we had the American League had the advantage that year because it used to be whoever had the better standing, but then they made it so whoever won the All-Star game got the advantage in the World Series. So I think we had advantage. So we played the first 2 in Fenway, and then the next. Well, the first time we won in 4 games. So it was there when we won, and then Colorado was the same way. I think
so. I think we won away, and because I think 2013 was the first time they won in the park.
Yes.
Yeah. In however long, I don't know about the olden days and whether or not they won.
Was it 1918 the last time we won at Fenway, or was it before that?
But those poor suffering Cubbies, they haven't gotten they got the taste. They don't understand it. I mean, come on, Cubbies, you're ruining it. They could be. I mean, by the time this comes, we're recording on.
Whoa. Sorry.
We're recording on Monday, and I don't know if they have a game tonight or not. But I mean, I hope they turn it around.
Hey Siri, is the Cubs game tonight?
I don't know.
Are not playing today. Their next game is against the Mets tomorrow at 8:07 p.m.
Okay, so Tuesday. Oh, so does that mean that they're not play? I wonder if they're playing on. If they're playing on the 21st, the day that they're supposed to.
It says Tuesday the 20th.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, back in 1985,
it was a shorter season.
Back in 1989 when they made Back to the Future 2, the baseball season would probably be over by next week or this week, because they they added the second wild card. So basically, the 2 wild card teams play against each other.
Yep.
And then whoever wins that goes up against, I think, the number 1 seed in the American League, and then the other 2 teams play for the other part of the divisional series, and then
it's much longer.
And I think they play less games. I think it was
fewer.
They kind of.
He's gonna kill me. You should see the eyes.
They play fewer games. They play the same amount of games, but I think they played them in rapid succession.
Yes, they play less baseball.
They play the same amount of base. Well, aside from that,
they play less baseball and fewer games.
Well, actually, did they have the wild card back in the 80s?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to any sports at all until.
Hold on. Hey Siri, when did Major League Baseball implement the wild card?
She doesn't like you, Steve.
Fuck you, lady. I'll look it up normally.
So I mean, yeah, I didn't pay attention to anything for the longest time because my dad was such a huge fan, and so once I stopped playing Little League, and I don't even know if I paid attention then. I didn't watch any sports on purpose except for basketball until I think I was home doing laundry during the first Patriots Super Bowl with Bledsoe. Not the first, but that one. And then I was the first sports game I ever watched of my own volition was the snow game that started off the 2001 into 2002 Super Bowl.
All right, so the year the wild card happened, it started the year after the strike.
Okay.
So in the 90s. They did not even have the wild card back then when they made the movie. So they didn't so basically the number one seed in the American League, they had a bye. Right. And so the other two teams played and then.
So how did we end up in alternate 2015 becomes the important question, because obviously Marty screwed something up. And we don't have hoverboards. We don't,
But we have phones that we can ask questions, and they'll tell you when the Blue Jays game is.
Marty did not let Needles get him into that accident. And because Marty didn't let Needles get him into that accident, no hoverboards, no flying cars, and now the Cubs are not going to win the World Series.
Here's what's weird. He took that hoverboard from the future.
Yes.
And so if he did affect things enough...
Where's Cyberdyne Technologies, right? Is it Cyberdyne that takes the arm of the T2 or the T1000 or whatever and turns it into in T2 those guys?
Yeah.
So where are those guys? To
I don't know if they're in the same universe.
The hoverboard.
No, but here's the thing: is Marty took that back with him.
Yes.
So if he affected change enough in his own life, wouldn't that hoverboard have disappeared?
You're right. And when you're right, you're right.
Because if he affected things to make the reality of the world to be the same reality as we have now, that hoverboard wouldn't exist, and so it would disappear. Just like all the other, when he gets things back to normal or normal,
right?
From the alternate 1985, he has that matchbook that he gets at Biff's Pleasure Palace,
right?
And it turns into a matchbook for Biff's auto detailing.
I think what it is that Bob Zemeckis and that whole crew, they told us the story of Marty McFly, and they weren't supposed to, and because they did that, it just screwed up the whole universe. It was supposed to be the hidden story of some kid in California that we were supposed to never have found out. And they put it out there under the guise of a fictional movie, but it's actually a documentary. And because they told us all the secrets, it screwed everyone up. They didn't do what they were supposed to do in order to give us the hoverboards and all that stuff. And now the Cubs are going to lose.
We talked about this on my old podcast, the Simulated Itch Relief. I think our episode 5 was the Time Travel in the Media.
Time Travel in the Media, okay.
Podcast. And we talked about this, and since if the rest of us, if someone, basically we came to the conclusion, if in a Back to the Future kind of scenario, if someone was to go back and change the past, and then we would all have not remembered it, because the world would just change around us
in the way that alternate 1985 works in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can buy that.
So no one would even know anybody had time traveled. It's not like something would. It would instantly change, but none of us would be the wiser.
Right.
You don't mess with
Steve. The Cubs. You don't mess with.
It's not over. Like remember the Red Sox? They were down 3 games to none to the Yankees.
And every time this sort of thing happens, I'm like, okay, all right, maybe we have seen it in our hometown happen, but is Chicago lucky enough to have that? I mean, they got Theo.
They're great at hockey.
They got Theo, right? They got some of the people that were here.
Yeah, they got some of the pitching staff too, I think.
So maybe it can happen. I don't know if they've played the first 2 in New York or the first 2 were in Chicago.
I think Chicago might have been the lower seed of the 2,
right.
so they might have been
maybe they're going home and maybe
go to Wrigley, win 3 in a row. Maybe
there you go. Just have to come back to New York and get one, which they haven't been able to do yet.
Well, you never know.
You never do know. I'm going to cross that off the list. Anyway, covered.
Yeah, I did the great segue there too.
You did. You never. What was the segue?
It was from the Wii U version of Wild Gunman.
Oh, that's right.
It got us talking about.
That's right.
See,
you are good at that.
Yes,
you are good at it. I just pick up the thing and cross something.
Be like, what's next on the list?
I don't know what's. Oh gosh, that's a sad. That's a very sad transition. I don't know if I even want to say it. Now I feel like I have to say it, but you're all going to think very poorly of me. I
like we don't already.
Okay, so like this is to compare the sad / not funny / morbid things that I do with my week in between shows with the fun things that you do. So I spent. Hold on. What you went to a concert? Don't tell me which concert. What night was it? It was
Saturday night.
Okay, so it wasn't the same day. So Friday, I was at a Vital Records office investigating the family of my grandmother. My grandmother
I thought it was like a record studio or like.
No, those records are not Vital anymore, Steve.
I thought that was a record company, and I'm like, because you were talking about it before the show. I'm like, Vital Records. That sounds neat.
No. I was at the Massachusetts Vital Records looking up info on my Polish roots, and one of my great grandfather, he was
a submarine screen door install guy.
He is.
What do you call the technician?
I can't. I'm trying to find a way to make
helicopter ejector seat.
My great grandfather is a dead milkman. So I was investigating the dead milkman in my family, and you on Saturday, a day later, went and saw the dead milkmen, and that was me trying to do a transition.
That is great.
It worked really well.
So basically, this is my tweet from after the show, and it was a picture of tonight the dead milkmen at the marquee, and I said, "This is what I'm doing tonight." What boring, shitty thing did you do?
And I just told you. It wasn't boring and shitty, but I want to hear about the concert. My Polish roots are impossible to locate, so it's just like it's a frustrating thing to do, and yet I keep doing it. At any rate, the only dead milkmen, is there only one?
There's more than one song. They have more than one song.
No, I know, but I feel like they
played one song for an hour and a half.
Is it Punk Rock Girl or Punk Rock Girlfriend or
Punk Rock Girl is the name of the song.
So I know that one. And did they also do... No, that's somebody else.
You're probably thinking of a Butthole Surfers song or something like that.
I think I was thinking of a... I don't...
King Missile? Detachable Penis? No, it was not. People thought it was the Dead Milkmen for a while, but it was not them.
Bitch and Camaro was not.
Bitch and Camaro is them.
Oh, okay. All right. So I know two. I keep hitting my head on the lamp. So I know Bitch and Camaro, and I know Punk Rock Girl, and I like both of them.
They're great songs.
I should go listen to a whole album, I guess.
You could. I would say. I mean, if you're gonna get a Dead Milkman album, don't just buy them individually. Just get.
I got Apple Music. I don't have to buy anything.
Well, yeah. Actually, I don't know listen to things on Death Rides a Pale Cow, which is basically their best of.
I might already actually have that one. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's a compilation CD they put out back in I think 96, 97, something like that. It's got most of their really great songs on it. I mean, there are some other ones that aren't on there, but if you want to listen to the quote unquote best of the Dead Milkmen, I think that album is it.
Yeah. No, I have Beelzebubba
Which is that has Punk Rock Girl on it.
And then I have one song from Death Rides a Pale Cow. That's probably Bitchin' Camaro. Yeah, Bitchin' Camaro.
But Bitchin' Camaro was off of Big Lizard in My Backyard, which was their first album.
So when you went and saw Ween earlier, you told us it was the Dean Ween group. Was not actually
Ween.
It
was most of Ween though.
So was this most of the Dead Milkmen, or this
the problem with the Dead Milkmen is that one of them is in fact dead.
Oh no.
So he committed suicide. Like he had like terrible arthritis.
Yeah,
he was the bassist, and so like this is what I remember about reading something. I may be completely off the mark.
Yeah,
but yeah, like so I think back in the early or the later part of the early part of the turn of the century.
There's a title. That's a long one, but that's a title.
It was, I think, around 2009. I think they were doing a benefit for him and his family. Well, obviously not him because he's not around anymore, but his family and whatnot. Yeah. So they did a benefit show with the new guy playing the bass for them, and they had a lot of fun. So I think in 2010 they just went out and toured proper, and that was the first time I saw them because like they last toured in '97 right after that compilation album came out, and I totally missed the time they were coming to the city, and then they didn't tour again for almost like. What was it?
Like 15 years.
Yeah.
Or 13 years.
Yeah,
least.
something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like, whoa, that's... So I've seen them every time they've come to town since.
Yeah.
And like this time, like the first time I saw them, it was like spectacular. And but then the second time, it was also really great, and it was weird because it was like right after the marathon bombing. And so it was basically maybe a couple days, if not a week later, and it was like people had been on lockdown, like until they caught the guy,
right?
And so they had just caught him, and like people were finally able to go out again, like and do something fun that wasn't like stuck inside while dealing with that. Yeah. So it was a really like that. I think played a part in the making that show really great as well. Plus they just. They played "Life Is Shit" at the end of the show. Song. I think that was in the encore. And people like I hate it. Well, I don't hate it, but like I don't understand when the band goes off the stage and people like leave. Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? You don't leave until the house lights are up. Right. Yeah. That means the show's over. Yeah. Like don't. If the house lights are not up, that means they're coming back out.
Right.
Like,
yeah. It's. I mean, and of course you could poke fun at the whole like, are they coming back out? Are they not coming back?
It was funny because like this past time, like they were like, okay, thank you, good night. They came up, they left the stage, and everybody's like, woo, and they were literally back in less than a minute. I've never. That somebody could do a whole study. I feel like somebody could and probably has done a PhD on the length of, because you can do a PhD on anything, right? On the length of encore between regular set and encore. Okay, well, because it's absolutely absurd. It's sometimes like, why do they even bother with the thank you good night? I don't know. Maybe it's just a fun little thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean. Sometimes, like if the crowd isn't into it, obviously you would leave the stage and just be like, all right, well the crowd doesn't seem to want us to come back out. So
yeah, it's one of those things that's like now it feels like it's almost an obligation for them to do an encore, as opposed to the crowd actually cheering enough to make it worth their while. Yeah. And I wonder what it would be like to be the band that's like, to be the big band that's like not feeling it, and like this crowd is not into it, but if we don't go out and do the encore,
then people on Twitter are gonna be like, I saw so and they left the stage, they didn't come back and play 6 more songs for
Sting
us.
Didn't sing Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Why are you bringing it up? We didn't even talk about your job today.
So do they play Bitchin' Camaro live?
Yes, but they don't do it exactly as it is in the album. I mean, they play the song, but like there's a lot of like stuff that's leading up to the song where it's like them having a little conversation. And so Rodney,
say, Jack, what's happening?
Yeah. So Rodney just goes off on like whatever he's like feeling.
Right.
He just goes on rants.
Yeah.
And then until a car is brought up, and then they get into a sort of conversation part,
right?
And then it's like, you know, like, oh, I got a bitch of Camaro. Like this time they didn't even bother, like with like the whole back and forth.
Do you ever see the this? Okay, so forgive me if you hate this band, but you ever see Bare Naked Ladies?
I don't necessarily hate them, but I don't have a strong.
Well, that was their. They did a lot of improv. And that was one of their things with
If I Had $1 Million.
If I Had $1 Million.
Yeah. Like the guy that was that used to, I don't know if he still does, but the guy that used to do the karaoke DJing at JJ Booma's in Lowell.
Getting local for you.
Yep. DJ Mark Allen, I'll give him a plug. I don't know. Hire him. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
it's really muscular. That's not what you expect for a karaoke DJ guy, but he's got some cloits and loits. What do you call them? Muscles? I don't have any of them, so I don't know what they're called. So yeah, he would always want me to sing that with him, and I'm like, I don't know it well enough to sing it. I mean, I don't think. I mean. It's not really a really fast song, so I think I could probably follow along with the words like that are on the screen, and then go against my normal like don't do songs you don't know, because I've done that before, and I'm like,
yeah. Oh god, I have to learn that. I learned that the hard way. Not really, but I learned that somewhat the hard way the last couple times I've done karaoke. I think at Dan's I picked something that I did not know all that well, and I was like, yeah.
I remember doing it was at Bennigan's in Framingham, my old haunt. Rest in peace, Bennigan's. And I was singing with the girl I used to do my radio show with, Kira. I was singing "I Got a Man," but I was singing the lady part.
Okay.
She was singing the man part because we thought that would be funny. But I didn't know enough of the song. I'm like, this is a lot more words to the song.
The lady part, yeah. A lot more involved.
Lady There's parts. A lot more involved with the lady parts, yes. I agree.
You mentioned before that there were you said the rowing thing.
Oh wait.
Oh no,
hold on. No. I didn't even get let me back to like them playing they were playing Life is Shit. Okay. And then halfway through the song they stopped playing it and started playing Dream On by Aerosmith. Played most, if not all, of that song, and then picked up the other song and played the rest of it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you know that Joe Perry's now ex-wife, but his wife for the lot of the portion of the early part of the band, that was her peeing song. So when she'd be backstage and they would start to play Dream On, that would be when she would go to take a leak. And now to this day, when she hears Dream On, I think it's Dream On, when she hears Dream On, she has to go to the bathroom.
Nice.
That was in the Aerosmith autobiography, Walk This Way, which has now been repeated.
Refuted?
No, repeat. So each of them now, I think maybe not all 5 of them, but all of them have now done their own autobiographies, which have basically retold the exact same story. I mean, I have not read any of the other ones all the way through, but they just repeat the same stories that they told in the other ones, except now all of the other ones are about how they're mad at Steven Tyler.
No.
I think
but they're still together, right? They still make music.
They make a lot of money, so yeah.
They're not doing the Eagles. Get over it.
Get over it.
So, you were bringing it up.
Yes, you mentioned that there was a rowing thing going on, and I wanted you to elaborate.
I drove into Harvard. I ended up being very responsible and not getting hammered. Mm-hmm. So it made the show a lot more memorable.
So we had more to talk about.
Yeah. But, I didn't really talk about any of the songs they sang. They sang, the songs that I wanted them to sing. Yeah. They didn't actually sing Life is Shit this time, so. But yeah.
That was the previous
time.
That
was the previous time.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I drove in, and there was just, it's Harvard Square. There's a cluster of people there constantly.
Right.
But it seemed like there was a little bit more. I didn't know about I think it was the Head of the Charles or whatever, rowing shenanigans.
Yes.
And so like there was just entitled. I just kept.
You're the one that never wants to talk about the entitled. Entitled what, Steve? Entitled white dudes?
No, it
with
wasn't.
Big arms?
No,
and,
it was.
I row crew.
No, it wasn't that. I think I called, regardless of their gender, I called them entitled twats.
Okay.
I kind of said that a little lower, just in case your daughter was nearby.
They're right outside. Yeah.
And I was just like, right near the venue, the Border Cafe is right next to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
And so there's a crosswalk right there, and there's just people. There's this woman waving a bunch of young elitist asshats. Standing on the other side of the street, and she's waving them over, and they're just, one of them starts crossing, and the rest of them are slowly following, and I'm just sitting there waiting for all of these assholes to cross the street, and I'm like, what are you doing? Just cross at the same time. And they couldn't get this last person across, but they were standing, so like the people that were crossing were standing in the middle of the street right in front of my car, not moving, and trying to get this last person across the street, because it's really hard to do that. And I was just like, what in God's name is happening right now?
This is before the show?
Before the show, yes.
So this is before the show, but you still didn't drink. I
did have a couple of drinks with dinner, and I did have a couple of beers at the show.
But
over the course of 6 hours, that's not a lot of drinks.
I was going to say, that kind of experience sounds to me like the kind of experience that drives you to drink.
Yeah, well, that wasn't. So yeah, I get through. I was near Leslie. That's where I ended up parking.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's a good school.
Yeah,
I hear good things about them.
Yeah, so I wasn't quite there. Yeah. Like there was one of the metered spots right near there, and I got there right after 6. Mm-hmm. So I dumped in $2 worth of coins, and that was my parking for the evening.
Right.
And like when I was walking back up to my car, I'm like, I know because I got there after 6, so I was good, like in the window, because meters no longer matter after 8.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just checked for to see if I had a ticket. I did not have a ticket. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like finding a place to actually sit down and have something to eat and drink.
Saturday night in Cambridge and
also all those rowing asshats.
Yeah.
But then like I went to Uno's and I was like talking to some. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was just on my phone, and I overheard that the people sitting next to me was like, "Oh, you got the tickets?" And like, I wonder if they're going to that show that I'm going to. So I was wearing shorts, and it was really cold that night.
That was not a good night to be wearing shorts.
I was wearing shorts and just walking around in Cambridge.
Yeah,
and I get to the show, and sure enough, the people that were sitting near me at Uno's, because that was the only place I could find to get any sort of service or a seat at a bar.
Yeah.
They came in, and I'm like, hey, aren't you the folks that I saw at Uno's? They're like, yeah. And so I ended up chatting with those folks. They were down from New Hampshire to see the show, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Then my friends that I was meeting there showed up, and then I bid sort of farewell to the other folks. My new friends that I did not really exchange. I brought up the podcast,
right?
But they didn't take the what's the podcast called bait.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I didn't tell them. So I'm not gonna like force it on people, but I look like I do a pod. I usually mention I was doing my podcast, and if I get the question, what is it called? Then that's usually an indication that maybe I might be interested in listening to it.
Right.
I need to get better about that. And it was like
I need to get way better about it. So you're doing better.
I should instead say my podcast called Horribly Off Topic.
I was doing my hot podcast.
Then they'll be like, what?
Then they'll just be, bye.
I did like the first part of the conversation. They should have just ran for the hills because I was talking about because I was like, oh, I saw you guys before, and it was like I felt like it was weird, like a Truman Show kind of situation. And then I'm like, I don't know if anybody would actually want to see me in my life, the amount of chronic masturbating I do when I'm alone. And I'm like, no one wants to see this.
Well, they would cut away to beautiful music and the curtains wrestling. Isn't that what they did in the Truman Show?
I don't know.
I think that's what they did in the Truman Show.
Neat.
That was kind of a rhetorical question. I know that's what they did in the Truman Show.
I've only seen it once, actually, and I think I saw it in the theater.
I was obsessed with that movie for a while.
did you think your life is like the Truman Show?
No, but it came out around the time I was writing my senior project for college
called The Chris Show.
No, but pretty much everything I saw in that like 18-month span transformed completely what I wanted to write about. So I didn't really know what I wanted to write about. So I'd see a new movie and I'd be like, now my project is about the Truman Show. And it didn't.
That was back when Jim Carrey was making movies that were good.
It was just after he'd stopped doing straight up comedies, and he did that, and then I don't know how much later Eternal Sunshine was, but yeah,
it was. I think not a while later, but a couple of years later at least.
Yeah.
And then he did Liar Liar, and what was the other one that was Liar Liar 2? Only it wasn't.
Oh gosh, I don't remember, but yeah, I don't remember. It just got eerily quiet.
Oh no, I'm missing turtle time for this, Chris.
No, I'm sorry. Well, we're almost done. We're at 50 minutes and 10 seconds. So we talked about Did you want to say anything about the songs that they played? I mean,
no, they played all the most of the tunes that I dig, that I want them to play. It seemed like they had a little less in them this time around. Maybe because I saw the last time I saw them was 2 years ago, and they're 2 years older, and they're older than us. So
right.
Maybe they just don't have as much in them as they did, and so they just
Yeah. That's I'm a self-confessed. We talked about earlier when we talked about Quake. Like, I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan, and there were times when, especially after Trent Reznor got sober, he would go on these long touring cycles. And I think one time I saw him towards the end of one of them, and you definitely could feel that he needed a break. And then he took a break, and I guess he came back, and I did not see the most recent tour, but people said it was amazing. And so maybe they're at a point where they need a little break.
I don't know if they tour an alarming amount, so I don't think that's the issue. I think they were just maybe the rowers ruined their day too.
Maybe.
I wouldn't say my day was ruined, but I was definitely yelling at them from my car with the windows up. I was like, "What are you doing?"
So there's a bunch of things that I wrote down. Thankfully, a lot of them were boring, and we don't have to get to them because we've got plenty of show. But one thing that I wanted to get your opinion on before we get to our regular weekly feature.
Oh, we have something before that. Oh.
Just a really quick something is, so tonight, the Star Wars trailer for The Force Awakens, the final trailer, is premiering at halftime during Monday Night Football. And I wanted to know if you remembered what movie I gave it away, but where it was that the first episode 1 trailer premiered.
Was it Monday Night Football?
No. It was in a Brad Pitt movie. I'm pretty sure it was Meet Joe Black.
I think I actually saw that movie.
But most people went to see Meet Joe Black. If it's the one that I'm thinking of, I might be wrong.
I think it was. I'm
going to get email.
It was probably a really long time ago. I think I actually went to see that movie on a date with somebody that I don't even remember who it was.
But a lot of people went to go see the trailer and then left. So that movie got huge box office that weekend, and then nobody actually saw it. It tanked the next weekend because everyone had gone just to see that. And I guess I bring this up because, I guess Lucasfilm was its own thing at that point, and now it's been bought by Disney. And I just feel like they have not learned nothing in the interim, because sure, there's probably some crossover between folks who watch Monday Night Football and are going to be excited about a Star Wars trailer, but mostly I can see what Twitter and Facebook are going to be like tonight. It's going to be a bunch of grumbly nerds who are like, when the hell is this game going to be over so I can watch the trailer? And
well, usually the end of a football game is usually the draggy, outiest part, but
but approaching the half can sometimes be
depending. I mean, if the score is tight,
and somebody's trying to drive for a score, I can just see what Twitter's going to be. Do they not learn? Who is in charge of these decisions, Steve, to put geeky things in the middle of Meet Joe Black was you went on a date that was
Meet Joe
Black
movie.
Was like a date movie, and Monday Night Football.
Although I don't remember a second of it.
I
don't remember the Star Wars trailer being there either.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get the the placement, except that ESPN is owned by Disney. And Disney is releasing Star Wars.
Yeah, so. That's the part that makes sense. But like, okay, so you don't like where they're putting it. So where would you rather?
Oh, well, I mean, I think they should just... I mean, if it hasn't leaked in the time that we've been recording this, and it doesn't leak in the next couple of hours...
I might need to leak after we finish recording.
I just think the logical place for it is online, because every time one of these studios tries to time it so that it premieres on TV, an old dying medium, it leaks. So when the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer was supposed to come out last year around this time, it leaked like 2 days beforehand, and thankfully they had the presence of mind to put it up officially on YouTube before its TV premiere. But I just think, like, put it online, like, make it a thing when everybody can watch it. They don't have to watch your
but they want to get ad revenue. I mean,
I get it.
They want to, they want at least the ads around it.
Right.
They could probably charge a little bit more for it. So yeah, like Disney, I mean, it makes sense what they're doing.
It does. It makes sense. I think it's, I won't. I mean, also because I have to get up early, but I'm not going to stay up for it. I'll wait till it's online.
Halftime.
Yeah, the game doesn't even start until like 9 o'clock. Yeah. Anyway, Steve, I mean. Football. I got football in the brain. I got to ask you, Steve, how did the Patriots cheat this week?
Okay, I missed the game. I was watching The Leftovers on HBO. I was binge watching that all day yesterday. I need to catch
up on that. Good?
It's about people going out to dinner and then...
I know what it's about. That's a pretty... That's a good way to describe. Yeah, is it good? It's a couple episodes.
It's something that I shouldn't be watching by myself alone. It's sort of like it's depressing. And
it's about like half. Is it half the people on the planet?
No. It's only like 2% of the planet is like just disappears. Right. I don't know. Like
based on a Tom Perrotta novel, maybe it's based on a novel.
Something.
Yeah. Anyway, so you were watching that instead of the Patriots game.
Yeah.
So you don't know how the Patriots cheated this week?
Well, I watched the highlights, and so I think how the Patriots cheated this week is that they didn't fall for Indianapolis's shitty play.
You seen it?
I saw that. I saw the clips online.
I didn't stay up and watch it. I watched the replay this morning, and I cannot stop watching that play. It is the most absurd thing I have ever seen on a football field.
And also, I think they're supposed to deflate balls now.
They are supposed to deflate balls, and they didn't. So
yeah, that's probably another reason.
That is the bigger reason. They did not deflate anything, so they can't have more picks taken from them and Tom Brady suspended. Like that's in the rules. Tom Brady is supposed to do something that puts him on trial at least once every 4 games.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it.
So sorry, Jim Irsay, we beat you.
And he won the freaking game to boot. That's how they. I mean, I guess it should go without saying that. I don't know if we've said that every week that they've played, but all 5 games that they've played, they've won, and that is another way that they've been cheating.
In that bye week where we didn't play at all, when we cheated for not playing football.
Not playing football. Yeah. My God, Steve. How are they going to cheat next? Is the
Who are they playing next week?
I don't know. Oh, the Jets.
Oh,
they're playing the Jets. Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably going to fly him around the...
I got nothing.
Fly him around the field like a airplane.
We should do some plugs, and you should go take a leak.
I don't have to pee that bad.
Oh, okay.
What is my name? Oh, Twitter. Twitter name is at Tuesday is Loser. You can tweet me or follow me. I lost my Apple followers.
Oh no.
They stopped following. And somebody else did. I don't know who.
Oh man. If you
I'm down to 80 again.
If you unfollowed Steve, you need to provide an explanation for that shit.
Yeah, I want to get 100 followers at some point.
At Tuesday is Loser, all one word.
Yes, at Tuesday is Loser. Tuesday is Loser, all one word.
All one word. Not Tuesday is Looser.
Loser, like Loser.
I wonder if Tuesday is Looser. The magic of radio. I am at ECC1977 on Twitter, and you can follow me if you'd like, or tweet at me. And you can send us emails to hot@clarkwoods.com, because you haven't sent us an email in a while.
Somebody freaking email us.
We need email. We need the Foley artist back.
Email!
And of course, you can find the show notes for this episode at clarkwoods.com/hot/64.
Nintendo 64.
Yes.
Well, Chris, it's about time. I better be heading out and getting some dinner.
Oh, what are you going to have to eat?
Food.